It's time to make sports talk great again with Curt Schilling and Steve Deace.
Greetings and welcome to the show and to our new audience joining us here today for the first time on YouTube. Welcome to We Talk Sports. I am Steve Deace. The other guy there probably doesn't need much of an introduction. World Series champion, future Hall of Famer, Curt Schilling. Each and every day, here's how it works. We stick to sports as best as we can. Sometimes the events of the day don't permit us to, but we go out of our way to put a moat around sports as a safe space where Americans of every ideology, belief, and all of Facebook's 57 genders feel like they can come and enjoy a slice of Americana. We put 25 minutes on the clock, get to as many of those topics. Why 25 minutes? Because that's the time of the average cardio most of you are lying about, and the average commute in America most of you will have to endure. So it's a good amount of time. So Curt Schilling, are you ready to go?
I am trying to stay between the rails of sports today.
All right.
As hard as I can.
Today will be a bit of a challenge. But I will do my best. Hey, I grew up watching Sparky Anderson. I have no problem being Captain Hook here. All right.
I just want you to know this first topic is probably going to run wildly off the rails, but let's try it.
All right, let's try. Hey, you can only shake me off so many times before I'm coming out to the mound. All right? All right, here we go. Beginning now. So there is a landmark firing at ESPN yesterday. Adnan Virk, if you watch baseball studio shows, college sports studio shows, he is a fixture at the four-letter network. Was he there really quick before I set up more of the story?
Yes.
Did you guys work together there at ESPN?
Yes, I
did.
know. I am very. I actually texted with him last night.
You did?
Yes.
Oh, well, you buried the lead on me. All right, well, this will be interesting. Okay, well, we'll get to that in a second. But he just got a 4-year deal worth well over 7 figures from what I read yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
And was escorted out of the building and off the Bristol campus on Friday because the management at ESPN determined or believed that he was the one most likely leaking sensitive corporate info. Now, which kind of sensitive corporate info? Programming info to one of these, there's Deadspin, Awful Announcing is another one. They're kind of these, remember Rudy Martzke back in the day on USA Today, that only other sportscasters read his column every week, and he's passed on, and now these blogs have kind of taken his place. And so they're basically little insider blogs. They're places where sportscasters go and read dirty limericks on bathroom walls about each other, basically. Okay. And none of the viewers of any of these networks read any of these sites at all. But networks like your former employer, ESPN, are like obsessed with them. I think Jason Whitlock once pointed out when he was at ESPN, he couldn't believe the obsession the network had with what Deadspin said about him all the time.
This is the same thing as politicians in the media.
Yes.
They care so much more than they ever let on about what every letter, every line, every word.
Especially like an insider blog like a Politico that most voters, Republican or Democrat, don't even know what that is, okay?
Right.
Because they sit around and they just read about each other like it's high school, okay? Yep. And that's what Awful Announcing is. And so Awful Announcing had gotten an exclusive that ESPN, which has scaled back its Baseball Tonight coverage from when you were there anyway, but they were just going to eliminate the show altogether this year. And here's how they leaked, here's what's funny, they leaked to the New York Post what they believe Adnan leaked to Awful Announcing. And so essentially there was this insider conference call, invite only, and where personnel and management about how they were going to approach baseball coverage this season. Adnan was part of that list and then had to leave for some obligations on the air, and he missed part of it, and he came back in, went to one of the members of management, said, "Hey, what did I miss?" And the part that they filled him in on is almost verbatim what ended up in an Awful Announcing story about ESPN kicking Baseball Tonight to the curb. And so the implication here is, ESPN's not flat out saying it, but the implication appears to be that they're upset that he went to this Awful Announcing and leaked their decision to dump the show with the hopes that it would pressure ESPN to rethink this decision, to essentially do programming via public leverage or not. Yep. And that's why they fired him for leaking sensitive info. And now he's got a 7-figure contract and all kinds of lawyers and everything else are going to get involved here. But here's why I wanted to lead off our show with this, because I am fascinated. And you've been on the inside. I've worked on the high inside in political media. and did mostly local and regional sports media before I crossed over. So I understand. I know the most right-wing senators you could imagine, who get up first thing in the morning and read what Politico says about him, when none of their constituents will ever click on the link. Right. Whether they voted for them or not, will never even read it. They're just obsessed with what is said about him within the bubble. And I wanted to address this from a sports perspective. Why the hell does ESPN care what Awful Announcing or Deadspin or any of these publications and blogs, literally none of their viewers will ever read? Why do they care so much about what they say about their programming decisions as opposed to the viewers themselves, Curt?
Well, I think that's a psychology class to understand, but the fact it's a power trip, right? I mean, these are the some of the most powerful, influential, wealthy people in the media. You're talking about the clowns that run ESPN, and they don't like opposition of any kind. And I don't know why they pay attention to. I can tell you a couple things. First off, Adnan is a very good friend of mine, and has been so for a long time. I think he's a tremendous talent.
Did you guys work together on Baseball Tonight?
We
when
did
you were there?
quite a bit,
okay.
Actually. Yes.
Yep.
And when, if you remember way back when I put out the post comparing Islamic extremists to Nazis. He was one of the first people of the Muslim faith at ESPN to come to me and say, "Listen, I got it. I'm an adult. I can actually read. I know what you were saying. I'm not." And I felt bad because I'd never thought I would ever offend somebody like Adnan. But he was very open, very honest, and funny guy, great guy. He's one of those guys. He laughs at everything. Great to take to parties. Just kind. And I don't know what super sensitive. First of all, as I understand it, in my communications with people inside ESPN, Baseball Tonight is not being canceled. But I don't. I mean, I think it's kind of, if he was telling other companies their private calls and meetings, that's kind of Bush. But
he did refuse to turn over his phone.
Right.
Everybody, they went down the chain and asked everybody, turn in your company phones, and he was the one that refused to turn his in, right?
Yep. And not to mention, didn't they leak on him immediately after this? See,
because to me, there's two separate stories here. I mean, if he did what he did, I mean, if I went around, and I've never done it, but and I've never leaked anything. I'm too arrogant. I want my name on stuff. I'll just tell you. I think that guy's a hack, and we should have never hired him. And I'm glad he's gone. That's why I always tell people, don't ask me, because I'm just going to tell you what I really think. Okay.
Right.
So I'm not into leaking. I've never been anybody's anonymous source, like ever, and never will be. Okay. But I understand a corporation like ESPN saying, "Hey, you can't behave like that," if indeed that he did. I don't have a problem with them firing him for leaking information. What I'm curious about is, why the hell do they care so much with these industry blogs that only other people in their own little self-pleasuring circle read and their viewers don't? If you want to find out whether Baseball Tonight's worth the expense, go get a focus group of your viewers. You know what I'm saying? I mean, go to your distributors. Go to Time Warner, Comcast, DirecTV, and say, "Hey, how many people are clicking on channel 206 on DirecTV at 11:30 at night and watching Baseball Tonight?" There's other ways to do this to get outside your bubble where the average fan has their voice heard. But then third, you then turn around and leak on him. Holy douche move, Batman. I mean, what the heck is that, Curt?
That's
what is
ESPN.
that?
That's who they are. That there's some bad people in charge over there, some with bad motives. This part of me thinks that they just signed him to a deal, and I promise you it was a lucrative deal, a 4-year deal, and it was worth millions. If you're looking at the fact that Disney is taking a beating with ESPN, ESPN is, by the way, I did not know this, but ESPN is Disney's most lucrative arm of business by a landslide, or was. But if you've watched over the last couple of years, they've been cutting staff left and right. Lots of staff.
The NBA deal they signed, the rights fees.
Yep.
The problem is they signed it right before the technology model totally evolved. And so now it wouldn't matter what the ratings were on the NBA and that deal. They couldn't possibly make it up because of the cut the cord subscription model that has, radically changed all of our lives in this industry right now.
On the baseball side of things, I do think the MLB network is finally starting to have some sort of an impact. Mm-hmm. But I also think that this could be a roundabout way to save money. They signed him to a deal. Maybe they looked at the deal and looked at baseball and realized they overpaid again. And this was a roundabout way to fire him. But by their standards, if you look at the way ESPN operates internally, this makes them Islamophobic according to their standards, because anytime you do or say anything to anybody that isn't white at ESPN, if it's not an adoring comment, you're held to a standard and punished. And I watched it happen all the time. I can't listen. This is the same company who when I compared Islamic extremists to Nazis, I got in trouble. I had Muslims inside of ESPN hate mailing me, like, "I hope you die, you piece of blah blah." I mean, and I let them know. Never did a thing about it. Never said a thing about it. He'll land on his feet somewhere, though.
Maybe the MLB network. I've already had a couple of people ESPN's ran off have landed over there, I've noticed. Let's go to the NBA. Scottie Pippen, the greatest Robin of all time. Both a great player and the most overrated player in NBA history, meaning he was a great player. I think he belongs in the Hall of Fame. But the idea, if he hadn't played with Michael Jordan and had played for the Washington Bullets in that era, would he be one of the 50 all-time greatest players? No. Okay, so
and he's also the guy who wouldn't go in the court when he wouldn't get the ball, right? He's the one that turned down
he's the one that Game 7 against my Pistons in the 1990 Eastern Conference Finals claimed he had headaches and he couldn't play, and we blew him out by like 30 points, and that really
didn't he refuse to go out onto the court after Phil Jackson called the play and he wasn't getting the ball?
That's right. Yeah, that was another one.
That was the day I stopped caring who Scottie Pippen was.
Well, he is saying that Zion Williamson, in light of what we've talked about with the NFL and should guys quit, when should they stop playing, and and meaningless games. It's kind of funny. Missouri, the University of Missouri, got a bowl ban from the NCAA the other day, and I'm watching all these sports media people who told me that bowl games are meaningless, and any player that plays in them hates their family and is a fool for daring to risk themselves and their future livelihoods for the Boca Raton Bowl. Okay? All these same sports media people who told us bowl games are meaningless are now up in arms that their alma mater, Missouri, where a lot of them go to school, Missouri, Syracuse, that's one of the two popular J schools in the country, that their alma mater got a bowl ban. I'm like, well, why the hell are you pissed off? To me, that's not even a penalty then. So the NCAA said you can't play in a meaningless game. I don't understand why you're upset.
You're doing your alumni and your school a favor by allowing your first round, second round picks that are going into the NFL to stay healthy.
Yeah. I mean, you can't tell me they're meaningless games. They get mad when you're told you can't play in a meaningless game. Just pick one. Yeah. Okay. But anyway, Scottie Pippen last week told Zion Williamson, who's the force of nature at Duke, and the likely number one pick in this June's NBA draft, that he should just stop playing rather than risk injury for the NBA draft. Your thoughts on this, Curt?
Well, I try to think about this as a parent, and if my son came to me and asked me this question, should I play or not? I don't know what I'm going to tell him, because here's what I know. In June, he's going to be the number one pick, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
More than likely,
if he doesn't play between now and June, is he going to drop down in the draft?
Now, that's interesting. I don't know. Because here's the thing, we have seen the NCAA tournament every year makes a couple of prospects, no question about it. Okay?
Yeah, but it doesn't break prospects.
Not so much. No, it doesn't.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't hear that, right? I mean, we don't hear, oh my God, he's gone from 1 to 3. We always hear this guy went from a second day guy or a second rounder to a mid-first round.
Should he perhaps not involved? Maybe he should check the carcinogenic levels of cities that he inhabits in his spare time between now and June.
No.
Should he maybe hermetically seal himself? John Travolta's Boy in the Bubble needs a friend. Should he maybe do that rather than risk anything as well?
Hold on a second. You're talking about a kid. I don't know how he grew up. But you're talking about the NBA, and what you're basically looking at is hundreds of millions of dollars in future earnings. The salaries in the NBA are so far off the charts that, and I don't know that the number is as big. Like I said, if he's not going to hurt his draft stock, I mean,
here's what I love. Listen, I don't care what decision he makes with his life or not, because of all the reasons that you just said. I'm a capitalist. If that's what he wants to do to protect his investment, it's fine. I think most of these arguments are silly. Most of these arguments are pretend victimology. They're made by people who actually hate capitalism. Now I'm going off the rails. But this is now where these guys are looked at like, they're some third world tribe of colonials put down by the oppressed patriarchy. They're basketball players, man. They're football players.
You know what?
Okay?
You know what's happening here?
And you don't care. And here's the thing. I thought we were pro-choice here. What the hell is it Scottie Pippen's business what Zion Williamson does with his life?
Right.
If it's not my business, then why the hell is it Scottie? And by the way, it's not. I don't believe I have a right to. Well, I do have a right to criticize. I'm a customer, but in the way, if I don't have a right to tell him what to do with his life, why does anybody else then? Does he get to make his own decisions or not?
But this is where you and I come from different worlds. The only reason Scottie Pippen's advice matters is because the media went to Scottie Pippen and asked him. As an athlete, it was damned if you do, damned if you don't. And the fact of the matter is, I had writers. I've seen so many situations where writers will say, what a jerk. This guy never talks to the media. He's a bad dude.
True. And
then on the other side of the fence, it's does this guy ever shut up?
True.
So I mean, it's only a matter of importance to Scottie Pippen because the media made it one, and I don't imagine he sought out somebody and called a news outlet and said, "Hey, listen, I want to give you my thoughts on Zion Williamson." I don't
know. Knowing Scottie Pippen's act, it actually wouldn't surprise me.
Right?
Okay?
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Bad example.
Like if Karl Malone did this, then I might be more inclined to buy what you're selling. But I could totally see Scottie Pippen interjecting himself into something like this. Yeah.
The thing that this is doing. And I think the NCAA is going to wake up here. Is this not opening up an avenue for new leagues in basketball?
You'll see the one and done rule will go away. Is what will happen.
It has to.
And the Zion will. But here's the thing: those are collective bargaining things. You're a former player rep, right?
But it doesn't matter. You can't. There's a right to work rule.
Oh, that doesn't apply here. Here's why.
No, I know, but I'm saying you're not going to be able to stop college athletes from going pro.
Oh, you're right. The NBA has a private business, has every right to determine what the qualifications for its hiring are.
Yes.
But they collectively bargain that one of those qualifications is you need at least you need at least 1 year of college. Okay. Right. And in the NFL, they said you need at least 3 years of college or to be 20 years old. If I went to Monster.com or CareerBuilder.com, there'd be all kinds of qualifications for places where they were to ask things of me to meet certain thresholds in order for them to hire me. Now, Now, of course, if he wants to go play in Europe or the NBA G League, he's more than welcome to do that.
Right.
And I think they will get rid of the one and done rule, and it won't clean up all of the college basketball corruption we're going to talk about tomorrow, but it will put a huge dent in it because a lot of it is these really highly elite kids who are already on a black market worth six-figure shoe deals, right out of high school. Okay. And so you'll just see those guys, the D'Souza's at Kansas, for example, the Bowens at Louisville, the Zion Williamsons here at Duke. You'll just see them, RJ Barrett's, they'll just immediately go to the NBA and we won't even deal around with any of this stuff. And Mike Krzyzewski will go back to, recruiting Shane Battier types. Okay.
Yeah.
But that will happen in the next few years. But I think a lot of people are mad at college basketball for the one and done rule. That's actually the NBA's entry requirements that it collectively bargained with its player associations. They got to change that at the CBA level. College basketball has nothing to do with that.
Players aren't going to change that because they don't want. That's their job. The players will never be for decreasing eligibility rules. Not going to happen.
Would you think? We're going to play some video. This is the president speaking at the Super Bowl pregame show on CBS, talking about his youngest son Barron and the prospect of playing football. Watch this.
Football.
It's a very tough question. It's a very good question. If he wanted to, yes. Would I steer him that way? No, I wouldn't.
Why?
I wouldn't. And he actually plays a lot of soccer. He's liking soccer. And a lot of people, including me, thought soccer would probably never make it in this country, but it really is moving forward rapidly. I just don't like the reports that I see coming out having to do with football. I mean, it's a dangerous sport. And I think it's really tough. I thought the equipment would get better, and it has. The helmets have gotten far better, but it hasn't solved the problem. So, I hate to say it because I love to watch football. I think the NFL is a great product. But I really think that as far as I've heard NFL players saying they wouldn't let their sons play football.
Yep.
Your thoughts on that?
I heard the same exact thing at ESPN. I heard NFL players say that they would not allow their sons to play football for that very reason. Those guys the junior Seaus of the world, who you don't know about them until it's too late. You watched Concussion with I'm sure you saw it with Will Smith.
No, I didn't.
The Dave Dewersons and all the other. That is and so I'm coming from a place of same thing with me and my kids. But as a Steeler fan, I've watched half of that late '70s team commit suicide. For the same reasons that they're trying to. I think, let me just, as a non-sports point, just say this. I've been involved with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis for about almost 30 years, which is ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. I believe that all these things are connected. I honestly believe that, when we find out about traumatic brain injuries, we are going to see a link to Alzheimer's, to dementia, ALS, all these other neurological illnesses. I think they're all going to tie together.
Boy, it doesn't get any more America first than let's play soccer. Rally around the flag on that one, brother. Hey, let's go. Let's go play some blank hole countries to a 0-0 playoff. Yeah, America, bitch. Yeah, it doesn't get more America than that.
I can't watch the sport.
Come on, man. Come on. The America First president saying, hey, and as they say in soccer, let's do that soccer. Really? Yeah. Soccer? Soccer.
I've seen.
Come on, man.
I've seen players. I've seen men who suffer from severe CTE. I've known them.
By the way, do you know what sport per capita leads to the most concussions in youth sports? Do you know?
I would bet hockey.
Girls soccer is number one. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but while we're all running Handmaid's Tale ads during the Super Bowl.
Oh my God.
We don't highlight that. Okay.
No.
Because this isn't listen, I think you're sincerely concerned about player safety, and I think the guys you worked with at ESPN that play in the NFL sincerely are. And we should do everything we possibly can to make the game as safe with as much modern technology as we possibly can. Yep. Men have been doing dangerous things to earn a living since the dawn of time. That's embedded in the male DNA, and that's not going to change. Okay. But here's the thing. Notice that no one's running around talking about, man, too many concussions in girls soccer. Yeah.
Right.
Because this isn't you care about player safety, but most of the people attacking football don't give a rip about player safety. What they hate is it's a masculine-driven meritocracy, and they hate it. That's what this is about.
It is the ultimate male masculinity, right?
Yes.
Right? Toxic masculinity.
By the way, the number one sport women like is what? Football. Why? Because Greg Maddux was right. Chicks dig the long ball. Because women actually like men. Right, that's why they like football. Men are their number 2 favorite sport is your favorite, hockey. Right. Okay, why? Because again, they like masculinity, they like aggression. Now they don't like barbarians. There's a line there, obviously. Okay.
Yeah, but think about it. As a society, we like to watch the octagon. We like to watch. The MMA is growing at an incredible pace. There isn't anything more violent, more gladiator, more early day Roman type.
It is fascinating. It is fascinating. The same mamby-pamby. Yeah, we got to ban football. It's too dangerous. Have no problem with a dude who identifies as a chick going into the octagon with all of his testosterone hormonal levels. All right, and pounding a woman right in the jaw in the name of gender equity. I'm calling horse bleep on 99% of this, okay?
I agree. Well,
because for every person like you that cares about player safety, there's 10,000 others that just can't stand the fact that there's remaining havens of masculine meritocracy left in the culture, and that's what they're really ticked off about.
And at the end of the day, the dollar always wins.
Yes. That's why it will never go away. It will never go away. Now, the upper class, the wealthy, like the Trump family, whose kids have other options, they won't play. Okay? Just like we don't see sandlots full for different reasons, but we don't see neighborhood sandlots full in the summertime of baseball players anymore. A lot of white America doesn't play pickup baseball anymore in the neighborhoods in the suburbs where I live. And so baseball didn't go away. Guys aren't making less money. So we'll just import players from parts of the world and parts of the country where they're looking for avenues and opportunities to enrich themselves that they don't have opportunities that Barron Trump has. And that will be what will happen here. I agree. I think eventually in the wealthier suburbs, you'll see football attendance dip, but in the end, it'll just be replaced by other people who say, this is a chance for me to get out of my current economic situation and get an education, and that's why I'll play instead.
The biggest beneficiary of all with this significant brain injury, trauma, CTE stuff in sports is esports. You're seeing esports grow at a pace that is just off the charts, especially outside this country. And now that it's becoming a 6-7 figure reward system where kids can actually earn an incredibly lucrative living as esports gamers, that they're going to be the biggest beneficiary of all this stuff.
Soccer, Curt.
No.
He went, Curt, he went with soccer, Curt.
I know.
Come on, man.
Yeah, I'm going to bet.
By the way, I'm 45 years old. Soccer's been the fastest growing sport in America.
Yeah.
For 42 of those years I've been on this earth, by the way. I don't know about you.
I can't watch a minute of it, and I get winded watching it, so no.
I want to get to the Kyler Murray topic. We're almost out of time, though.
This needs its own little piece.
I think it does need, because I'm incredibly uncomfortable watching Dan Patrick, literally, the young man, he's a man, not speak for himself. And Dan Patrick gets so frustrated, he literally calls out to his father in the gallery off mic, "Hey, Dad, what's your kid doing?"
Yeah.
It was cringe-inducing to watch.
But you know what? You have to understand, and it's not a hard thing to understand, and you know this from being on this side of the fence. You have to know your interviewee. That it was very clear he wasn't comfortable.
Yep.
And listen, this is not something that's easy for a lot of people to do, and it was clear he wasn't. And I thought it went off the rails in a bad way for everybody involved.
We'll talk about this tomorrow. I don't know what is happening right now at Florida State with DeAndre Francois. This is becoming one of the craziest stories I've ever seen. And
that's saying something.
And it is saying something in the era in which we currently live. I mean, this is the stuff of a Lifetime movie, and it's actually happening in real time. We'll get to that and more tomorrow right here on The Blaze.